Good evening. I call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. Roll call. All directors are present. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Mr. Bartz, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda tonight.
All right. May I have a motion?
I'll move the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The agenda is approved. Moving on to public comment. We have no members of the public in person, so do we have any members of the public online that have a public comment at this time? Mr. Barnes?
Not here. No, I
Okay.
don't have a comment.
All right. Okay, seeing or hearing none, we will move on to community reports in person. Dr. Holman, you're up.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2023-24 Snowline school year. My apologies for missing the last couple meetings, but I want to just start by saying a huge thanks to the directors here. This ongoing partnership. One of our core values in the Snowline Joint Unified School District is it's called Snowline Partnerships. And thanks for partnering with us, allowing me to come here and share just a little bit of what's happening. And it really goes beyond that too. I mean, we've got individuals sitting here who are always willing to partner with us in various ways, from the water tank to so many other endeavors that I couldn't even mention. So just here at the beginning of another school year, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. And to that end, schools did open August 10th. I think when I was here last time, I was reminding ourselves about August 10th, and we did open up. We have over 8,200 students. I don't know if you know about that. And that's in grades preschool all the way up through adult school. So that means that we have, oftentimes you hear us say we have 12 schools. We actually have 13 schools because we do have an adult school as well. And just share with you just real quickly, the focus areas for this school year: safety. Maybe you've noticed at our schools, increased fencing across our system, and visitor management system at every single school. That management system is folks have to come in with their driver's license and make sure that gets run through. That gets obviously flagged if there are individuals, maybe with Megan's Law and things of that sort. But those are at all schools now. Increased cameras, drills. We're running drones at our drills now to ensure safety across our system. Also, from the academic side, PLC, professional learning communities, you know we're guilty of having way too many acronyms. You'll hear that one often. That's going to lead to, at all of our schools, the sum total of over 100 training sessions, really built around 4 questions. I'll say real quickly: what do kids need to know? How do we know that they know it through the assessment? And what do we do when they do know it? And what do we do when they don't know it? Sounds fairly simple. It's coming together, ensuring that we've got coherence, consistency across our system so that we elevate academic performance across all of our schools. Research-based, it's been around for 25 years. We've been engaged in it, but really up the ante with more professional development. And then finally, health and wellness across our system for students. I've talked ad nauseum in here about it, but it's just so very important, giving them mental, physical, social support, of course. But also for our staff members, we've got monthly staff wellness trainings that we give to them, make them available, and also community ones. I want to give a quick shout out this month's community effort in the area of health and wellness. You might know September is Suicide Prevention Month. And so at Serrano High School, Tuesday night, we're going to be taking all comers, giving folks strategies, using gosh, I'm forgetting the name. I don't know why I can't remember it now, but it's Just Say Hello is the program, right? You'll hear about that. It's a way for ourselves to, Sandy Hook, sorry, that's a Sandy Hook promise. You maybe know that. That's where it comes from. But Just Say Hello will be a focus, and ultimately, what can we do to ensure that just horrible outcome doesn't occur, not just in our communities, but elsewhere. So everyone's welcome in our community to participate in that. Speaking of welcome to, we're building a graduate profile. We're finalizing our mission and vision statement. We've got our core values and belief statement. The fifth and final organizational structure is the graduate profile. And just encourage, if you are so willing, we're looking for all comers. We've got about 60 of the most the most common skills, habits of mind that you find in American graduate profiles. And ultimately, what is it? It's what we want every single graduate to have when he or she leaves our school system. So we're looking for that feedback. That survey is going to be out for the next 2 weeks beginning on Monday. If you'd like to participate in it, please let me know. It'll be on our website, and you just go in and say, I'm a community member, and I think the little Ryan Holmans of the world here, right? The students need to have X, Y, Z. We're looking for that great feedback in that regard. Speaking of feedback, we really love sponsoring the Phelan Family Fun Days. We are the sponsor of specifically the parade, and so I'll just put this out there. If the Phelan Piñon CSD wants to put together a float, we'll take you on there. We love it, love it, love it. That's on October 7th. And it's a way for us not to just maybe get some awards out there. We love winning awards, but honestly, it's a great event out there. So please, we encourage you to take part in that parade if you'd like to. We're going to have all of our schools and bands and everything out there, making certain that we can connect with that community on that is Phelan on Saturday, October 7th. And lastly, I'll go right back to this week. It's homecoming week, believe it or not. It's a little odd this year, not a Friday night game. We've got a Thursday night game. You might ask why. Scheduling and having enough referees. If you have an inkling to be a football referee or baseball umpire or basketball, let us know. But all that is to say, we've got our homecoming games tomorrow night against Hesperia High School. The dance is Saturday night too. So for those of you who want to take part in another community event sponsored by Snowline, please do. That's a lot of information there, maybe too much. But certainly back to your president there, we greatly appreciate all this effort here. So thanks so much. Answer any questions as is necessary too.
Any questions? No?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for the support. Appreciate you all. Appreciate the good work.
All right. Online, I see Sam Shoup. How are you this evening?
I'm doing quite well. I hope the same for all of you today. Just give a little brief update on the county for everybody here today. Yesterday at our board meeting down the hill, the county unanimously approved the contract for Luther Snoke to take over as the county's new chief executive officer, removing the interim from his title. As you may have known, our previous CEO, Leonard Hernandez, left the county just a few weeks ago for some personal reasons. So we're very excited to have Luther on officially in this capacity. He was up here in the high desert in Victorville for their chamber State of the County event not too long ago. So we're happy to have him making the rounds up here in our communities. So we hope to see more of that, and we're excited to get to work with our new administrative team. Beyond that, I don't really have much of an update. I want to advertise again. We have a youth advisory council we're starting up. So if there are any interested students, please reach out to me. Within the next couple days, we're going to close up applications. So if anyone is interested in that, please reach out to us. And as well, if anyone in the public or from the board has any issues with the county, anything we're not being particularly helpful on, please reach out to me directly, and I'll be sure to help you work through that and see how we can make things run a little more smoothly for everybody. But beyond that, if anyone has any questions, that's all I have for you today.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, Deborah?
Any update on the street light, on the signal?
I'm sorry?
Is there any update on the signal we're due to get here in town?
On which street?
Phelan and Clovis.
I don't have that off the top of my head. I will make a note of that, and I'll get back to the board with it.
Awesome, thank you. Just the community keeps asking. Thanks.
Phelan and Clovis?
Yes,
Perfect. All right, I'll look into that.
thank you.
All right. Any other
Absolutely,
questions?
thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Good to see you.
You as well. Thanks so much.
Is it Victor? Thank you. Sorry, Victor. I didn't have my glasses on, and your name is this tiny. How are you this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So I'm Victor Hernandez. I'm from the Office of State Senator Russell Liso Chua-Vogt, and I would just like to provide a brief legislative update during this last week of the legislative session. So one bill that I just wanted to make everyone aware of is SB 389. This is pertaining to State Water Resources Control Board and the investigation of water right. This was sponsored by Senator Allen of Santa Monica, and this bill, which has passed both of the chambers and is headed to the governor's desk, would authorize the State Water Resources Control Board to investigate and determine whether or not a water right is valid. And during this process, they can be able to request documentation from the water right holder, diverter, or claimant to provide that information regarding the basis of the water right. So that is one bill that is of a lot of attention recently. And then as far as some of the work that the senator has been doing, she has three bills in particular that I want to highlight. SB 240, which pertains to surplus state real estate being sold to nonprofits for the development of affordable housing. That bill did pass out of the assembly and is now headed to the governor's desk. 2 weeks ago, the governor did sign into law SB 371, which pertains to undomesticated burros. So the senator did successfully have her bill passed. And then lastly is SB 722, pertaining to daycare facilities and incidental medical service plans. That bill did pass out of the assembly as well and is headed to the governor's desk. So if there's anybody that would like more information about any of the pending legislation up in the Capitol or need assistance with casework for state agencies, please do not hesitate to contact our district office, and we are here to assist. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? No? All right. All right, I don't see any other community members, so we will move on to item 3, consent items. Does anyone have any items they would like to pull? No? All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of the motion to approve the consent items, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, the motion passes. Number 4, we had no matters removed. Number 5, no presentation, so we move on to 6A. Discussion and possible adoption of resolutions 2023-20, 21, 22, 23, and 24, electing to cease to be subject to the Public Employees Medical and Hospital Care Act with respect to a recognized employee organization. Mr. Bartz.
Good evening. Thank you, David is going to be handling this agenda item tonight.
Thank you, Don. As you just read, staff is recommending to approve these resolutions. This is to terminate, to withdraw from the CalPERS health insurance. District staff received renewal rates from CalPERS for calendar year 24. And in the chart below, you can see there's the year 2023 there for comparison. The majority of district employees utilize Kaiser. The Kaiser Family Health Plan will be $2,250, an increase of $288 per month. When dental and vision insurance are included, an average district employee with the family will contribute $800 towards health benefits compared to $508 this year. In order to maximize the district's contribution towards employee health insurance and to reduce employee contributions, staff recommends for the board to adopt the attached resolutions, which will terminate the district's participation in CalPERS health plan, allowing staff to redesign the district's health benefits program utilizing the existing board-approved budget. Do we have any questions on this?
Okay. Greg?
Yeah, I do. So I understand what the request is, but where's the backup information on where you're going to go to or what's available? Because doesn't the window for signing up for medical benefits start like right now through December or October through December?
Our open enrollment is in December, or is
Okay.
it October? That part I'm not sure on. The withdrawal for CalPERS has to be turned in September 18th on Monday.
Right.
And then we are working with our broker Keenan, who's online, to get exact rates and get who we're going to be going with. we're still shopping around the Kaiser, the Blue Shield, and Blue Cross and all that.
All right, thank you.
Does she want to address?
Lori,
the-
did you want to clarify
Sure,
anything on that?
I'm happy to chime in. Hi, everybody. Good evening, honorable board members. I actually presented at the time that you went into CalPERS, and I'm a CalPERS retiree, so come from being in the public sector myself. What we've done is we've gone to the market and we have shopped what we call individual rates on the individual market. And we've come back with those rates, and in doing calculations, there is savings to the employees by going with the individual rates. So what we're going to be proposing is Blue Shield and Kaiser plans at the gold level. Open enrollment can be set by the agency. So as long as the carriers have those enrollments in by December 15th, employees will be covered by January 1st. So the agency has that flexibility. When you're in CalPERS, you have to do the CalPERS open enrollment, which starts Monday, September 18th. Thus, deadline for turning in this resolution. So we do believe we have some good viable alternatives that are going to serve the employees better. And we did review all of those alternatives prior to Kim going on vacation. So we know what that looks like, and we feel confident that they'll be in a better situation with these medical plans.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. And what, now, you went, the existing health plans that are offered now, and I heard that a majority of the staff has Kaiser. You indicated that there's a gold plan. So how does that compare to the current, what's offered through California PERS for our staff?
The gold plan is fairly compatible. The individual plans, in some cases, have a little higher copayment when going to the doctor and some of the copayments that are involved, but thus you have a lower premium. So it's a trade-off. You're going to pay a little bit more to go to the doctor, but you're going to pay less for those premiums every month. If you don't go to the doctor very often, you're going to come out way ahead paying a lower premium than you are paying $5 more to go to the doctor. So the plans are fairly close, but the gold plan is not as rich as the HMO 15 on the CalPERS plan.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Chuck?
Are we confident that it's going to be lower for the next 5 years? I mean, we're out of CalPERS for 5 years, is that correct? If we do this?
Well, I can tell you, I took the city of Upland out of CalPERS. This is their 6th year, their 6th renewal. I just did a comparison chart for their CalPERS compared to CalPERS current rates and their current rates. They are still between 10 and 17% below the CalPERS rates after 5 years of being out of CalPERS. Can I guarantee that your rates will be lower? I don't think anybody could, but we have taken two agencies, California City and City of Glendora, came out of CalPERS last January. So I don't know of any agency that's gone back in that's come out, but I'm sure it's happened somewhere in the state of California. Just none of the clients we've taken out have ended up going back into CalPERS. So that's all I can tell you is what I've seen and what I've experienced so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, also, if you, if you look at the last line on page 2 of 2, and if at some point that this didn't work out, we still have options to go back in. We'd be out of the CalPERS for 5 years, but we would have the option of going through SDRMA or Aqua, going back into a larger group. So we do have options with that, should it not work out as we expect it to.
Were any comparisons done on what's offered through Keenan compared to like Aqua or the other agencies?
Yeah, I do know, Kim just texted me, right? I don't think it has anything to do with that. I'm sure she's probably listening. But she was very thorough going through all of the plans. And at the last go around, the CalPERS was the lowest, obviously lower than the Aqua and SDRMA. Going through Aqua, we would need to be members of Aqua to do that. So there is a higher rate with Aqua, so the SDRMA version of it would be cheaper than Aqua. But I don't know the exact numbers on this, but I know she did spend an extraordinary amount of time shopping to make sure that we had the best deal for the employees to keep the cost down. When you're looking at, almost $2 an hour out of somebody's salary, just to make up the difference in the health coverage is very substantial.
Okay.
Was there any input
Actually,
from the employees?
Yes, there was quite a bit of input. She did consult with the employees to talk about the different plans, possibly with the board members too.
There was consensus
Yeah.
to change.
Yes.
Will there be any lapse in coverage?
No, there will not be lapse in
No.
coverage.
Okay.
nope.
Mark, any questions?
No, I think they were answered.
Okay.
As long as as long as the employees' consensus was to make a change, that's fine.
Okay. Deborah?
How will this affect vision and dental?
Has no effect whatsoever. The medical is totally separate.
That was the only thing I didn't hear, so thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions, please? Feel free to ask.
I don't think there's any more questions. No? All right. So with that, do I have a motion?
I'll move the item.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. All right, moving on to 6B. Excuse me. Discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2023-25, election for employer-paid member contributions for Classic Tier 1 employees. Mr. Burtz.
Thank you. I'm going to pass this one over to David. He's going to have a busy evening tonight.
Thank you, Don. In a review of our CalPERS account, it was discovered that a resolution was not adopted regarding the employer-paid member contributions, otherwise known as EPMC, when the district enrolled in the CalPERS retirement program initially. This resolution is for Classic Tier 1 members, which are the district's original contracting employees, prior to the establishment of the Tier 2 in 2012. EPMC for Classic Tier 1 employees has always been paid by the district. This resolution just formalizes that and submits something on file with CalPERS.
Okay. Any questions?
I do have one question. How many employees does this affect?
There are 6 employees on the Tier 1 Classic. There's no effect to them. This has already been, there's no change to the employee, but yeah, we have 6.
So it's something that we've already been doing. We just, for some reason, didn't formalize it in policy form.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this goes back to 2008.
Okay.
Something that got missed early on.
All right. Any questions? Mark?
No, I assume it's just bookkeeping.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So with that, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Seconded.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. All right. 6C, discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2023-26, election for employer-paid member contributions for Classic Tier 2 employees. David.
I'll take this one in. So this is for the Tier 2 Classic employees, which are employees who transfer or come to us from another CalPERS agency. No longer in the Classic group, they become Tier 2. So the district finance staff recommend to amend the district's employer-paid member contribution for new contracting employees eligible for Classic Tier 2 membership class. In order to help minimize the risk of unfunded retirement liability, it is recommended to change the EPMC from 100% to 0% for Classic Tier 2 employees hired by the district after October 1st, 2023. This means that any new employees eligible for this retirement classification would pay the employee contribution into CalPERS rather than the district paying for it for them, and it's just like the district's PEPRA employees, which comprise the majority of the district staff.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, I just need clarification. So this is for Pepper employees only, not Classic employees?
No, this is for Classic
So if a
employees.
Classic member decides to come to work for the district, they're going to fall into the
They are still under the Classic membership, and in this Tier 2 membership, there'll be the 2% at age 60. It's just instead of the district paying the
Okay, they'll have to pay
employee
the
share,
person,
they're going to
yeah.
pay their own
Okay.
share, which is, it's at a 7%.
Okay,
Check.
This is for new hires.
Correct.
Okay.
So we've only had 3 or 4 in the last 5 years, so it's a rare occurrence, but it's one way that we're trying to minimize future cost to the district.
okay. Deborah, any questions? No? All right. All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to move the item.
All
I'll
right,
second it.
all right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, the motion passes. Okay, moving on to 6D, discussion and possible action regarding addition of translation stipend policy to personnel manual.
Thank you. I will be handling this agenda item tonight. We have a couple of the employees at the district right now who are handling most of the translations that we have, mainly is Spanish. And we are looking at being comparable with other agencies, and we've looked at this policy for a couple of years and felt this would be the appropriate time to do this. We do have 2 employees right now that are doing a lot of translation, and with the possibility of a few more. But there's a quite a rigorous test involved in order to be able to pass this competency test for this, and there quite a bit of I think effort would go into to even be able to pass this exam. There's no possibility that I'm going to do it, and George is I'm not sure if he would pass it yet or not. A number of agencies are doing this, and what we're looking at is if we have an employee that's dealing with, on a continual basis, translating, giving them some reward for that, and it would be a $500 a year stipend. Translated into an hourly rate, it would come out to about 25 cents an hour for them to be able to pass the competency test and to be able to do the translation. And staff is recommending that the board add the addition of section 6.5, the translator stipend policy, to the district's personnel manual.
All right. Snowline is doing the same thing right now, getting ready to administer the test and add it on to it for employees that qualify for it. So I think it's a fantastic idea. It's a great way to keep employees and give them something for the extra work that they're doing, so.
Yeah, and this would help us too, if we have additional employees that do this, because in the front office right now, we have a couple of employees that come up and translate, but if it opens the opportunity for maybe new hires that speak Spanish, gives them some incentive to be able to take the load off of the ones that we have right now, because they're doing a lot of translating almost on a daily basis.
Okay. Any questions? No? Deborah? No? Oh. All right. Well, I will go ahead and make the motion.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. All right, so let's see. Item 6E, update on the proposed Civic Center and Phelan Park expansion projects. Mr. Bartz.
George is going to give you an update.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. By the way, I just want to make something clear. My Spanish is okay. I was first in line up to like 7 years ago, so I became second in line. And up to 2 years ago, I became third in line to go up to the counter and communicate. So passing the test, there is no way, but I can carry myself. Excuse me. So last we left off with was the RFP that was sent over to Mr. Kennedy. Since then, Kennedy and I had a conversation regarding the procurements and how we're going to approach this. There was an understanding and it was clarified. The other question is, how does that funding, the appropriations, play into this as well? Kennedy requested to review the contract, which we do not have in hand for the appropriation. That's the EOC, the funding for the EOC. This has been a back and forth thing with our representatives, the grant management with the funding source, as well as the primary. We had a call in today for clarification on two things. One was the timeline, to have that contract in hand, to kind of get a feel of what the conditions are for this grant funding for bidding purposes. If what we had proposed would work, or we have to switch directions. The other was the NEPA. We were a little bit confused. We would hear that the CEQA would suffice and that we would be able to move forward with that. But staff and I, Jennifer and I, we read it differently and we kind of questioned it. So now we have a call to the coordinator, I guess the person that would answer those questions. We're waiting for that phone call. From what we've heard, and we're going to confirm this with this phone call, is that we're about 4 to 6 weeks away from approval of what they call, well, it's the official FMFW, which is the Financial Management Form Workbook. The EHP, the approval of the EHP, I think Jen is really into the whole process with the funding, so I'm going to hand it off to her to kind of give us an idea of what the funding is. Engineering got involved when we talk about building and equipment and material stuff. So.
Yeah, so according to OES, the FEMA has to do the final approval for the funding by the end of the month. Excuse me. After that, we'll begin this workbook, which is actually the official application. It sounds like it's going to be extensive. And then we'll begin the environmental and historical preservation review, which has a timeline, they think, of about 4 to 6 weeks. So that's, yeah, it's going to push that out a little.
And this is for the $2 million Emergency Operations Center grant that comes, with no strings from the federal government whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was stated to us this is a very complicated process, and even our grant coordinator has expressed that it's his first and is not his last, so he has questions as well. So it's been a struggle. With that being said, the other items that have been approved by the county, we're kind of moving forward. We kind of went through the brunt of the majority of the project for approval. Currently, we're obtaining the specifications for the grading plan. The others we have in hand. It's a matter of just getting that over to our consultant RLB to include that in the RFP, but still pending on which direction we go with bidding this project. Mr. Kennedy, is there anything that you would like to add? I know we get into the legal stuff. I just look at it from 10,000 feet.
Yeah, I think all of that is accurate reflection. I think from the contracting standpoint, the question is the RFP contemplates that the winning bid would also assist in the development of the specs for the actual construction of the project. And the language that is included in the grant documents that we have language in there that deems that potentially as a conflict of interest. So, and prohibited for purposes of receiving the grant. So that's an area that needs to be clarified is whether or not that concept that was in the RFP, the guaranteed maximum price, which has the winning bid, then working with staff and developing the specs, whether or not that is allowable for purposes of grant, or whether we have to go back to the typical manner in which construction projects are built, which is we design the bid specs, send those out with the contract, with the all of the contractor requirements, and then a contractor bids on that, and then we go forward. So that's an area that needs clarification for purposes of the federal government, and whether to do it the way that through the RFP would be make that grant money ineligible.
What was the thinking by going with maximum price instead of lump sum? Why did we make that determination?
That was a recommendation by the consultant with RLB, specifically for a project like this. There were 7 options that were presented, and it was recommended. You kind of eliminate a lot of the what they would call change orders when you are competitive in a maximum, well, they call it maximum price, whatever.
Right, you're more of a partner in it. You just have to watch their paperwork a lot more and their subs. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So pretty much that's where we came up with that procurement.
Is there the option to change it back to lump sum?
Absolutely.
To get the grant money?
Yes. Yes. Yep. I just want to add, Edison, which is another lengthy process for design and approval, that was completed and accepted by the designer's department supervisors. So we are now moving forward. I believe it's now at the general manager's hand to sign the agreement and then move forward for funding for that. So there's a thing about the equipment that's out there that would be available in 18 to 20 months, is to purchase it now, then wait until you have a GC to kind of manage that. So it was highly recommended by the Edison planner to move forward with an agreement like that. So we'll have that conversation. I haven't seen the agreement. It was confirmed and sent out, so we're waiting for that from Edison. With that, have any other questions?
What's the time delay if you have to go back to an RFP? 6 months?
For an RFP?
Well, that's
Yeah,
that's
so
what you said. You have to issue an RFP and then get the bids in and then get it approved, and so
If
is
the
that 6, 8 months?
So if the contract comes, well, the contract for the appropriations changes that plan, then we go out to bid. So right now, we are at a point where we would issue an RFP, and then we get about a month and a half, and then 2 months for contract negotiations. So that's a 3.5 month. So if you add the going out to bid, which would include the RFP, so we may be adding another 90 days to that. So.
Well, let me jump in on that question. My understanding of the question is if we have to go back to traditional contracting standards, which is not an RFP, it is a request for bids rather than what we have drafted, which is a request for proposal, which then the winning party would then contribute to the bidding. And so going back to the traditional way as far as the contracting part goes, we have all of that. Those are canned documents that the district uses quite a bit. It would be, the staff would be working with your engineering consultants to draft up the bid specs in a manner that comply with the needs of the project, as well as all the conditions of approval that the county has imposed. Right now, it seemed to me that the RFP process was kind of intended to speed that up, where you're getting the contractor on board immediately, and then the contractor is involved in doing all of that bid spec stuff. And that process may still be available. We just need to know from the federal government whether that process is going to be acceptable for grant purposes or not. And as Mr. Cardenas indicated, that we don't have that contract yet. We've been going through the FEMA application documents. We have a copy of the standard agreement, and there's some conflicting language in there. You can make an argument either way, but when it comes to administering that grant, we don't have any control of that. So we need to know from the federal government what its position is going to be on this GMP process, which is the RFP process. And whether that's going to be problematic under the grant, or whether we're going to have to switch gears and go to the traditional, we do all the bid specs, we do it, get it all together, and then that's all one big package that goes right out on the street, and then and then a contractor bids on that. Much like we do with your well sites and all of that. So I think that's kind of where we're looking as far as time frame goes. Whether going to the traditional method creates what that impact is from a timing standpoint. I think George and your engineers would know that better, because it's just a matter of getting those bid specs done and making sure that they're in compliance with all the conditions of approval and everything. And those conditions of approval that we got from the county were pretty dense. And I don't know if the board has seen those, but there's no joke about those. So yeah, I think that process would take some time, I would imagine. But as far as the contract part stuff, that part's already canned and is already something that the district already uses. So I think that's still up in the air as far as how long it would take to do the bid specs.
Okay. Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you, sir.
If I can add, I want to jump into the park.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the CEQA, the district was noticed, so it's been out in public notice for the CEQA. So it should be completing this 30-day probably in the next week or so. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So moving on to item number 7, committee reports. We will start with engineering.
Meets next Wednesday.
All right. Finance.
Don't know when it meets next. 2 weeks?
I think it's in November.
November?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Legislative.
We did meet yesterday, but I have nothing to report. We didn't have all of our representatives there to give us an update.
Okay. All right. Park and Rec, we haven't met since the last time we updated, and waste and recycling.
We meet next week.
All right. All right. Number 8, staff and general managers report. Anything to add?
Yeah, I have nothing to add except to direct your attention to, starting to page 78, are some pictures from the recent storms, some of the issues that we were able to deal with and get everybody back in service. But just so you can see some of the different things that they run into, whether it be storm damage or damage after the storm with the county running into lines as they're grading roads, or other people who like to have their roads graded and smooth. But if you have any questions, Sean is here to answer any questions about those.
Comment?
Yeah, sure.
Just remind our public out there, if you hire a contractor, that they call 311 to mark utilities prior to any work that's being done out there.
Including the county.
Oh, you mean
the county was the bad people, huh?
You mean like the gas line on Baldy Mesa the other day? Yeah. Yeah.
The County of San Bernardino Roads Division has received the appropriate invoice for that already.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. Anything else on that? All right. We will move on to number 9, director's reports. Greg?
Yeah, I attended the CSDA annual conference and attended quite a few of the classes that were offered throughout the event. That's all I had to report.
All right, Chuck?
I also attended the CSD conference in Monterey and attended several classes up there. Legislative updates, understanding board member liabilities, and a few other ones.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the district for support that the district gave myself and my family over the last month. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah?
I attended the conference as well, and I sat in on practicing emotional intelligence and how to better communicate, public outreach and education on projects, DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and cultural norms, a thing on AI and Chat GPT, which was quite fascinating. It's going to be quite the tool to work with in the future. I also attended the OSHA requirements workshop and the legislative updates as well. And that's it.
All right, thank you. And I have nothing to report. So we will move on to number 10, correspondence and information. Anything to add on that?
There's flyers in here for things that have gone out in our bills regarding leaks on the new smart meters. There's a coupon for the High Desert Home Shows. We have a women's self-defense class coming up, which I think is just about full. And then there's a baking class for kids for Halloween in October. And a trash application for the solid waste. If you haven't filled it out yet, please do so. And on our bill pay, you can now pay through your bank, most banks I should say, as an online payment instead of having a check cut to the district.
Perfect, thank you very much. All right, let's see, review of action items. Were there, did you have a question? Oh, I thought I heard something. Were there any prior meeting action items?
There was one that was in progress regarding the fuel options, and I'm going to push that over to Sean Wright.
Request for information from 15 vendors has been requested. We have 4 responses. We should have a comprehensive compilation being brought to the board in the next 1 to 2 meetings. We're just waiting for some to finalize proposals for both lease and purchase options were requested to give the board a full overview of what the realm of possibilities, and with a third component to that being fuel management systems. So a comprehensive, detailed and package will be brought before the board for consumption and analysis.
All right, thank you. And any current meeting action items?
I didn't have anything recorded.
All right, so setting agenda for next meeting for September 27th. Does anyone have anything they would like to add? No? All right. All right, so with that, we will recess to close session at 5:48 p.m.